Hello, do you want to use the rest of the year to make it the best of the years? So do you know how to use your BaZi, Chinese horoscope, to make the best for your relationships, personal development, and business development in this second half of the Water Rabbit year? So what's in it for you? In this video, I will show you where to find out exactly that in your BaZi. And for that, we have to look at the 4 pillars of destiny, how to use them to optimize and achieve your goals. This is the power of BaZi, the secret to unlocking your destiny. Hi, I'm Sandra from the Academy of Making Sense, and I've been teaching and consulting Feng Shui and BaZi as well as meditation for over 2 decades now, first in Germany and now here in New Zealand and Australia. So in this video, we will have a deeper look into the 4 pillars of destiny and what they can mean in relation to your personal development, your business development, and your relationships in general. What does this mean to the animal signs of the whole Chinese Zodiac? So do you know your BaZi, your Chinese horoscope? You may know the animal that you're born in, but did you know that there's also 3 more animals that are really important to you? The animal of the month you're born in, the day, and the hour you're born in. And depending on where your animal sign sits, it can have a totally different meaning for you, your life, your goals, and just everything. So would you like to know more about them? Then let me know in the comments. And well, let's get started. So how about we start with the general energies of this year, the Water Rabbit year. So the Water Rabbit year in general is about inner development. So the inner development, your core. So not necessarily pleasing others, but we don't want to lose our empathy, compassion, and care for others. No. We're not going down that road. It's about upskilling. It's about finding your intuition, maybe even new beginnings. You see, the water rabbit, the rabbit itself is a wood sign, and it's also rooted in wood, but the water gives it the support it needs. You know, if you know the 5-element theory, from the water to the wood to create maybe something new even, but with the upskilling, you need to learn and upskill something. And it's about your well-being as well with the water and the wood. It's about harmony. Maybe this year is also a bit more about compromises just to achieve the harmony and healing. And one thing also, concentrate on what is important. So find out what is important to you, and then you can upskill on that. You can harmonize on that. Maybe it's a new beginning. Who knows? You would be the one who knows, but you don't know where to start. So you may say, well, BaZi, oh yeah, that's just fatalistic and just everything's fixed and you know, there's nothing you can do about it. Well, that's not actually how it is. That's the old way of reading the BaZi. It's closed-ended, it's predictive in nature, it's a lot entertainment value focused. So we're not going down that road. The way I'm seeing the BaZi and the way to interpret it is really objective. It's more educational and value focused. So it's open-ended. It gives you an opportunity to action in a certain way, at a certain time, in a certain area. And so it's more a projection and how you need to act on it to actually get there. You see, your Chinese horoscope looks a little bit like that, roughly. Okay, so what is a pillar? This is what we need to know. When we want to dive into the 4 pillars of destiny, we first need to know what is a pillar. So the pillar is a combination of heavenly stems, the 10 elements coming from yin and yang and the 5 elements, and the earthly branches. So the earthly branches you probably know as the 12 animal signs. So let's call it 12 element signs for now in this video and this purpose. So the importance lies in all of those 4 animals, those in your year, your month, your day, and your hour pillar. Are they your friends? Are they enemies? What elements are present? Which are missing? What is the easiest way for you to find your path? What are the challenges for you? So this is what the 4 pillars will mean to you. So the question is now, what do the 4 different pillars mean in general before we dive into you? Well, the first two pillars, sorry, are more about the outside, and the second two pillars are more about the inside. So, what is the difference here? And also, we will see about relationships and personal development, business development. Where do you find that in the four pillars? And I will let you know that shortly. And also, what's the difference as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as an investor, as a boss, as a parent, as a teacher, mentor? So depending on where's your starting point, where are you now, and what is your focus in your life, this is how we then interpret the BaZi. So there's no one for all. So what's true for you must not be true for someone else who has similar signs, even similar animal signs. So let's say you have a sibling, or let's say you have a twin. Oh my God. But this twin has different experience in life, has different interests for whatever reasons. Then this person would be at a different starting point. So let's see the four pillars, as one of my mentors puts it, as four different vehicles for different purposes. So let's dive into the purposes of those four pillars. Let's start with the year pillar. Okay, so the year pillar is how people see you generally in public, your reputation. And it's really about the outside view. It's about the network you have. It's about the industry you're in. It's about the market. So if you're an entrepreneur, this is your market. And it's about the general external environment, friends, for instance, grandparents. They're usually a little further away than your parents. So it's also relationship to grandparents. So your year of birth represents the social aspect of your life and how you behave among friends, acquaintances, and your luck with them in general. So as I said, for an entrepreneur, for instance, the year pillar would also mean this is your market or your industry. What does it say this year? What's the relation? But we'll look into that later. The month pillar. The month pillar, by the way, also determines the strength of the animals of your entire chart. And that has to do with the season. So if it's a wood season, spring, then it favors, of course, the wood animals like the tiger and the rabbit. So summer is fire, for instance, so that favors the snake, the horse, and the goat, and it needs to go towards the element that it has. But what area does the month pillar cover? Well, it's the career. So if you are new to a job, then this is where you can find what's going on. And it's really interesting, the quality of life, because your work life is really a huge contributor to your quality of life, right? So this pillar, the month pillar, is about your work environment, about your work capacity and the opportunities in the job. The relationship that's in that pillar is the ones with your parents, but also with your co-workers, of course. So your month of birth represents your career, as an employee, not as an entrepreneur. We already covered that. So it's as an employee, your ability to provide value and how you would do that best. Okay, so we're going to the next one, the day pillar, which also contains your Feng Shui or self element. This is your personality. This is about your characteristics, who you are, your inner journey. So this animal and the element represent who you are on your inner journey. And because the water rabbit here is one about upskilling and about intention, about your inner life and learning, this is really an important pillar this year. Definitely more important than the year pillar. So really have a look what animal lives there. It also contains your spouse palace, by the way. That's the below the one. So this is your relationship to your spouse, and maybe something that relates to that animal that lives in there relates to your spouse. And so here we can really see this is an important thing for you in your life. If you don't have a spouse, well, maybe this is the way to find it. Him or her, I mean. So the hour pillar. The hour pillar is about your future. So how to engage with the future, your aspirations, your dreams, your hopes, your capacity to dream even. And it's about your relationship to your children and to people working for you. So the day of birth represents who you are on a fundamental level, your inner nature, what makes you unique. And it also represents your love life because of the spouse palace. Here in the hour pillar, it represents your thoughts, your ambitions, your goals in life, as well as the aspects of children. Investment, by the way, sits also there. And if you have any subordinates, that's also relating to this pillar. So how about we're going through an example? Let's have a look at the rabbit, because it's a water rabbit year. So the water rabbit year means for the rabbit that a light shines on you. So you are now on the spot this year. And this is why in the past it was considered not to be a good year for a rabbit, because it wasn't seen as appropriate to shine, to be too much out there and to just be on the spot, and everybody was just hiding stuff. So we have a totally different society now, do we, than we have 200 and 300 years ago. So in this society, it is about shining. It's about, and why should it not? It's about shining your light, because if you shine your light, you can help so much more people. So we're not talking about shining your light as an egotistical way. We're really talking about what do you have to share, to contribute to the society. So shine your light if you're a rabbit this year. This is what you're doing. So if you have but again, it's 4 different pillars. So wherever the rabbit sits, it has a different meaning. So if you have the rabbit in the year, if you're born in the year of the rabbit, then your light will shine maybe on social, maybe out there with friends and circles, maybe entertaining people, maybe an industry, maybe another market. That is the thing. This is what it means. This is where you can shine your light. This is where you can really, really get a lot of value for yourself by sharing it with others. If you have the rabbit in your month pillar, for instance, it's about your work life. So maybe it's time to shine your light in your work life. Maybe it's time to upskill and really jump forward. How about that? So this would be an interesting point of view. And if the rabbit sits in the day pillar, well, then it is really about looking into yourself, introspective, shining a light on you yourself and your qualities, your values. So maybe you need to do that first before you jump into the job light. But wherever the rabbit sits, this year the easier way for you. If it sits in the job pillar, then it's about upskilling and going into there and really doing your job. If it sits in the day pillar, it's more about you and your value, maybe your self-esteem, maybe your well-being. Okay, if the rabbit sits in the hour, then maybe it's about time to look at whatever, subordinates, children, investment, your hopes and dreams. Maybe you should start dreaming, but maybe you should also start acting on your dreams. That's what it means. Maybe this year it's time to act on your dreams and not just dream. Maybe that's why the rabbit is there this year. So this is how you can use it. Let's take a second example. Let's take the rooster. Why do I take the rooster? Well, the rooster is actually clashing with the rabbit. So the rooster has a few more things to look at, and it will be a bit different. So clashing in the olden way is like, oh my God, everything's dangerous and you will misfortune and blah, blah, blah. And all. No, hang on. That's not what it means. It means changes. And you know how many people are afraid of changes. And that's how it came, that in the past, clashing was like, oh my God, something bad happening. But that's not what it is, actually. It's about change. So as I always say, change or be changed. So use it to change. So if you have a rooster in the year pillar, for instance, and you're an entrepreneur, maybe it's time to change the market, maybe even the industry. Who knows? So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have to change your friends. Maybe you have to simply just change the platform of your social media to be more successful. That's what it means, maybe. Where can you change to get better in that field? In the day pillar, of course, it's related to your work. And then is a question, how much do you need to change? Did you always think about changing your job? Maybe. Time to think harder. Maybe it's time to upskill. to really change. Maybe you want to change in a more niche. I mean, it doesn't have to be a complete change, but maybe you want to go more niche in your job. Or maybe there's something in your job that you don't like and you would like to get rid of that. Maybe you need to upskill towards what you like. In the day pillar, of course, we're talking about you inside. So maybe it's about changing attitude. Maybe it's about changing where you see yourself in 5 years. And it's a spouse pillar, so maybe there is a change necessary, or maybe you're gonna get changed. Maybe you need to change your attitude towards your relationship, your marriage or something. And change doesn't always mean, oh yes, divorce, oh let's get rid of whatever. No. It means change. So what do you need to change to have a better relationship? How about that question? Do you like that? And if the rooster sits in the hour pillar, maybe you need to change your dreams, your ambitions. Maybe you need to get a bit more disciplined to act on your dreams. Or maybe you're just following the wrong dream. I can tell you that's a very interesting experience, realizing that you're following the wrong dream. But that's a story for another day. The wrong dream. So yeah. And so it's not just the pillar that is important and changes the whole subject. So where is the business development? So as an entrepreneur, I said I would look at the year pillar. As an investor, I would also look at the year, to be honest, but definitely at the hour too. As a boss, at the hour pillar because of your subordinates. As a parent, definitely the hour pillar for your children. As a teacher and mentor, that's an interesting one. As a teacher and mentor, you could look at the month pillar, because this is your job, your calling, this is what you do, your quality of life. But I would also definitely look at the day pillar, because it's about you, what you represent. Can you really transport what you want to transport in your work? Is your inner life congruent with what you want to put out there? And then also the hour pillar, because as a teacher, as a mentor, you have kind of subordinates, but they're not. You can't see them as subordinates as such, because you want to grow them. So you want to, so depending on what your goal is, depending on which area you're working in, it has a totally different meaning and a different emphasis. So what do you think so far? But now that you know all of that, what is the one thing you can do now in one of those areas to bring you forward? One thing. It doesn't have to be a massive effort. Sometimes small baby steps are bringing you forward much easier than lifting all the heavy rocks and getting exhausted, overwhelmed, and we all know that, yeah? So do you have a rabbit somewhere? Then shine a light in this area. Do you have a rooster somewhere? Be prepared for some changes. So you have 4 animals that define your possibilities and opportunities in relationship, personal development, business development, and so much more for the next months to make this year your best year. There's still so much time left in this month. So stay tuned for my analysis of each of the animal in the Chinese Zodiac and what to emphasize in the last months of the water rabbit year to optimize and achieve your goals. Because next year is going to be a wood dragon year, which will be a totally different game. I'm personally looking forward to that. And maybe you can guess why. So if you want to know what to do best in this month with your signs, well, then have a look at my monthly The Power of BaZi monthly forecast series here on this channel. And you could also subscribe to my channel and you won't miss any of my videos then. Well, okay. Whichever animal sign you are of the Chinese Zodiac, have a fabulous time and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.